19th lie is 1 ETH is equal to 1 ETH. The guy who stole $5,000 from me. Play different games are not fun. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into the 20 lies that 99% of people believe about Web3. And this was a great thread, link in the description below. We're going to start with number 1. Anything but hype controls the floor price. What that means is hype is what creates the floor price of most NFT projects. The reason behind this is because a lot of other factors contribute to it in a minor way. But if you look at projects that have no roadmap, no potential, no plan, they just start off, they have good marketing, and they have a good consumer base and a good follower base that does a good job of keeping them relevant. That's the most important aspect of the floor price. Now, can a project get fully minted out? Yes. Can they have good holders? Yes. But for floor price to skyrocket, you have to have a ton of people trying to get into the project because the hype is being generated, it's being driven to this project, and it's staying relevant for a longer period of time. That is one of the main factors of floor price. 2. One of the second biggest lie, you're anonymous and cannot be tracked, especially with new things like ENS domains. I was able to find out a lot of things about the people who minted my personal NFT project, Puffy Pilots. You'll see it right here. This is one of my Puffy Pilots. If you're interested in that, go ahead and check out the link in the description as well. I found out who minted them because a lot of people have their ENS domain from Unstoppable Domains attached to their wallet. So even though looking at the string of numbers, I never would have known who they were. So a lot of people are choosing to dox themselves. You're not completely anonymous. The bank, if they wanted to, there could most likely be a system to do this pretty soon. They just track the money. They can see whenever you put money from your fiat into crypto, and they can see what wallet it goes into if they really wanted to, and then they can just follow it from wherever it goes. If you send it somewhere, to, like, let's say you can send it to 10 different wallets, as long as there's no wallet feature that like hides where it's coming from and going, it's pretty easy to follow crypto. You could do it yourself. I did it with the guy who stole $5,000 from me. It's not that hard to track crypto right now, so that's something to be aware of. It's not impossible to track someone. The government, if they really wanted to, genuinely could start regulating this in certain ways. So you're not that anonymous. You definitely can be tracked on Web3 with your crypto wallets, stuff like that. 3. Reduced supply equals a higher floor price. That is definitely a myth. That is definitely a lie that people believe. For instance, I think that let's take 2 NFT projects with no hype, right? They have the same amount of minimal hype, very equal fan bases, and one comes out with a collection of 10 NFTs, one comes out with a collection of 1,000 NFTs, right? And the mint price is $10 regardless. If nothing else changes and they both get fully minted out, there's not too much that's gonna change the difference of the price, especially like floor price, because you have to have other factors included into this. You have to have things such as like the hype that we talked about. You have to have people being driven to this project, wanting to invest in the project. So reduced supply does not equal a higher floor price. If there has to be a ton of other factors that affect that floor price. For instance, I limited the Puffy Pilots to 1,000 NFTs only because I'm giving so much value to them that I do not want to have to upkeep that. But 1,000 is maintainable for the longevity of Web3. So it's very important to know that the reduced supply is not the sole factor. It has to include a lot of different factors because, like I said earlier, a project of 10 NFTs versus a project of 1,000 NFTs with the exact same minimal attention being drawn to it, just a minute out, it's not going to affect the floor price any more than it already was when it was minted. Let's go to the next one. Number 4, whales are smart money. A lot of people that are whales in certain projects, they're not smart. A lot of people made a ton of money in crypto. They made a ton of money in the bull rushes of 2020. They made a ton of money whenever Bitcoin went from like pennies to $1,000. Nevertheless, the $60,000 it went to. Nevertheless, the $20,000 is that right now. They made their ton of money a while ago, cashed out, put into a stable coin like USDT, and they just have a ton of money. They're just going into projects. Some of them are going into projects with absolutely no intention other than they're bullish on a project because of their internal judgment. So you have to make sure that you're not following a lot of whales. Some whales know what they're doing. I'll say this much. A lot of VC companies know what they're doing when they're investing. Gary Vee a lot of times knows what he's doing when he's investing, but then again, it's hard to see what happens. A lot of people that are whales are not using their money wisely. So if you go to the Twitter account Coinfessions, a lot of people say how they invested way too much money into a project, lost it all, but they could have been whales in the community for all you know. A lot of people could have been bullish. A lot of Coinfessions go like this: invested some money when I was younger, the money blew up, then I lost all that money into PFPs. These people make, they say 6 figures, mid 5 figures. So that's a lot of money that they're just blowing into NFTs and stuff like that. Do not trust the whales you see in the market. Take it with a grain of salt, like everything else in the space, including what I say. VCs stand for venture capitalists, by the way. VCs care about anything except for extracting as much money as humanly possible out of holders. Doodles raised $54 million at a $704 million valuation. This venture capitalist firm is not doing it just out of the goodness of their hearts because they think it's a good thing to do. VCs go to make as much money as possible with the money that they have. VCs care more than anything else about how they can drain their holders out of money. Now, they're not always a bad thing. A lot of times great things can be done with that money. But for instance, if Doodles comes out with a mobile game that's gacha based, right? They're doing it to raise money for the VC firm. The VC firm's looking to 4x their money at least in situations like this. Keep in mind, they're looking to make more money from this project, so check your wallets. They might be trying to drain you pretty soon with some allow lists and stuff like that. Just be wary. It's not always a bad thing, but you have to be aware of things like this. Number 6, we are all gonna make it. That is such a lie in the Web3 space. We are not all gonna make it. Again, look at Coinfessions. Plenty of people don't make it, but that's not because that this isn't a time where you can make it. Anyway, I'll say this much: we are not all going to make it, but anyone can make it. It's all about what you're doing with your time, with your money, and with the free tools available to you. The amount of people I know that are buying an expensive NFT or an exclusive subscription to a website to track NFTs, stuff like that, they don't need to. You can get all this stuff from the free tools that also NFT God posts about pretty often. You can get so many free tools and stuff like that, but people are not doing their due diligence. They're trusting the random people online. They're trusting NFT influencers. They're trusting a lot of people that they really shouldn't be trusting. So it's all about where you put your time, energy, and focus into it. We are not all going to make it, but all of us can make it. I follow Coinfessions for the sole factor of not becoming like 90% of the people in there. Very scarcely do we have a success story. Most of the times it's I wasted too much money, or I got super into my money, or I stole from my parents, or I took my parents' investments and lost everything, right? I did the same thing. I took $45,000 from my parents to buy the house I'm living in. This house was paid off in cash, and I needed $45K to finish it off. I took that from them, not to put in NFTs and Bitcoin and all this stuff, because they would have let me, honestly, put at least 20K of that. But I didn't, because I have to be wise with the money that's given to me, right? You have to put yourself in a position to make it. Most of you guys are greedy, and greed is what drives America a lot of times, and capitalism and stuff like that. Capitalism is not a bad thing. It's that the greed that comes from it could be a horrible, horrible tool that people abuse. Let's go into the next couple lies. Another lie: influencers know more about the space than you. That interesting fact about my journey into being an influencer in NFTs. I don't even want to be considered an influencer, but the whole reason I'm here is because I started talking to a lot of people in 2021 about their journey in Web3 and how long they've been around for. A lot of people that think they know a lot of people with tens of thousands of subscribers, a lot of people with over 100K subs. A lot of these Twitter people, Bob, they've been in the space for 5 months. Some of them are shorter than you. The only difference, they know how to market themselves. They got lucky. They're good at video editing, blah, blah, blah. And that's how they got big. I only became an influencer because I have been in the space since 2017. I've been in NFT specifically since January 2nd, 2018. About my first 5 crypto kitties, right? I'm early. I was early. I wasn't early, but I was pretty early, right? A lot of these influencers do not know more than you. They just talk more than you, all right? You need to listen to everything and take everything with a grain of salt, and then you will be smarter than a ton of these influencers who think that they're hot just because they're Twitter followers. Number 8, staking has any impact on the floor price. That is very much a lie. Staking does not really change too much of the floor price. The concept of a lot of things of staking is that if we can get our users to lock in their finances inside of a box and not liquidate, then we can focus on getting more money or more people to buy into our crypto, right? Or more people buying into our NFT project, and we're locking the floor price, and then we're going to raise it. It's just going to go up because less people are going to liquidate. But the issue with that is that one, people don't lock up their currency unless they can afford not touching it, because the gains are only like 10%, 20%, they're not that much. And the time periods are like 1 year to like 4 or 5 years, right? So the only people who are going to lock up their funds like that are people who can afford to lock up their funds like that. We've had so many bursts and bubbles and booms that people who lock up their funds are only doing it because they can afford to lock up their funds. People like you and me, we put in 25% of our net worth into this stuff, and if we lock it up, if one bad thing, if my wife gets in a car accident, right, and I had my funds staked, I would be screwed, right? Because we're almost all one bad tragedy away from being in a horribly destitute place in our life. So staking doesn't really change too much of the floor price because not enough people are going to stake to really affect the floor price. And if you prevent people from liquidating out of the project in general, like if you force stake their coins, stuff like that, they're going to freak out, bad press is going to happen, and then guess what? People are not going to be drawn to your project, so floor price will still go down. Number 9, the 9th lie. Play to earn games are fun. That is so true. So many of these games, I'm caught up in this, most play to earn games are not fun. Axie Infinity looked fun. The whole concept of it, when I realized it, it's like you have to pay $500 to have a decent team. You're only playing it to try to make money. Whenever you gamify your job, you can hear from a lot of people who go pro in esports. When you gamify your passion, you start losing your passion, because a lot of times you went into gaming because you liked it relieves stress, and then it relieves stress from your day-to-day job. But by going into that full time, you can no longer use it to relieve stress. Since that was your main way of relieving stress, you just have the stress from your job still. Play to earn games is kind of like that. You want to stop having to make money. You want to not have to be forced to make money, but it's kind of incentivizing. So hey, play this game and earn some money, and you say, I like playing games and I like making money, so you try to put it together, and then you're justifying playing a horrible game just because you're saying, oh, well, at least it's an investment, at least I'm making some money, when really it's not worth it. You know it's not worth it. All right, let's be honest with ourselves. The only game I've had a good time playing, genuinely, Fenton Arena, which is undervalued in my opinion, but I'm not sure if they're going to go back up, and Blanco Block Party. Blanco Block Party is genuinely possibly going to replace Fall Guys from the public eye, and I'm super hyped about that. Other than that, and I've played a ton of play to earn games, I have not had fun. I've been grinding on it, hoping it will pay off, and I realize that's not what I want to be doing with my time. So, play to earn games are fun. That is a lie. On number 10, paper hands are bad. Yeah, people hate on you taking your money, and that's why I love NFT God being so open about this, because it is not bad to make money. Let's say you're holding onto Ethereum at 1,000 and it hits 2,000, you sell. That's not bad. People are mad at you because they're jealous. They want those bags, but they're also waiting for something better. If I walked up to someone and said, hey, here's $1,000, and they'll take it. No one's gonna be like, oh, I don't want your money. Unless they have too much money, but that's not really a thing. But the issue is they're only holding it in there because they're saying, I want more of a conversion. Or they're saying, I only got in at 1,500, so I'm not doubling, which is not what I want. So you really, really have to consider why people are hating on you, and just don't listen to them. Do not listen to them. Take advice with a grain of salt, because people are going to be hating on you for taking your profits. Don't listen. Take your profits, get out of there. What they say has no matter, because at the end of the day, it's your bills, it's your bags, it's your decision. So let's say they say hold till 5x and it hits 4x, you don't pull out, and it drops down, and now it went to 0, you lost everything, sucks to be you. You could have had $1,000 extra, instead you lost $1,000. So that's just a heads up. You definitely want to take your funds at your project. For me, in 2021, I was a 10x king in my community. I was known as a 10x king. Every project I touched for 8 months. I waited, I looked at it, and then once a month I would call it a project, and it would 10x. I put in my money, it would 10x. My issue though is that the reason why I don't have 200K right now is because of the fact that I didn't listen to myself. I got greedy. It went up 10x. I'm like, no, I want it to hit 20x. I'm bullish on it. But the issue is, if I stopped listening to logic, I started losing. The second I listened to my logic, I instantly made $15,000 in 2 days. I'm not even joking. I put in $3,000 and it went up to 15K. So yeah, paper hands are not bad. Number 10, 100% lie. Paper hands are definitely not bad, and I'm glad he calls it out. Let's go to number 11. Number 11, diamond hands are good. Yeah, diamond hands aren't good. It's what I just said. If you're willing to risk your gains just because you want to hold on for 1,000x, I'm not gonna lie, most of that is over. And what would you prefer? The potential to go up 1,000x, or the guaranteed 5 to 10x? If you're doing everything diamond handing it, hoping that works out, you are now gambling. You're a degenerate. I know we're known as degens, but I take it ironically. I'm an ironic degen. I use that as a term, like a noob. right? Like it's kind of derogatory, but I really just take it as like a gaming term kind of thing. I'm a degen for cryptos, but I'm not a gambler. When I gamble, I gamble. When I go into cryptos and NFTs, or when I go into cryptos, I'm investing. When I go to NFTs, I am collecting. So just a heads up, guys. Let's go to the next stuff. Good stuff, NFT. Good stuff. Number 12. Another lie. 12th biggest lie. Engagement farming builds you a quality audience. Dude, engagement farming does not build you a quality audience. A lot of people do the GMs, like GM back, follow me for GMs, tag 3 people. But a lot of people are just like, oh, do this for white listing slots, tag right listing slots, all that stuff. When you do engagement farming, like the worst at its worst, I'm so glad it's mostly over, Discord invites. Doing Discord invite challenges where like, oh, whoever gets 100 people inside this Discord server with their unique link gets a whitelist slot. That screws you up because now you have a project. Let's say it works out. Let's say you have 100 people. Each one brings in 10 people, right? So that is 1,000 people. But let's say the 900 people don't even want to be there. Only 100 people do. Your Discord server is going to look so freaking dead. My Discord server looks dead, and I have 315 people in there, and only like 25 people that are like engaged in any capacity. And that I didn't even do a Discord challenges. Imagine the ones that do. It's pathetic. You are not building quality audience. You are just shilling to a ton of people and making yourself known as an annoying reputation with an annoying brand. That's one thing that I never want Tinker's Caravan, Tinker's Tot, Puppy Pilots, any of my Web3 brands to be associated with. We don't want to be annoying. We want it so when it comes up on your timeline, it's in the fun way or in an important way, not in a you got tagged, come on, like tag 14 more people and I'll give you an allow list. Like nothing annoying like that. Come on, let's be real. Such dry mouth. All right, number 13, buying an NFT makes you an investor. Yeah, dude, that's definitely a lie. Buying an NFT doesn't make you an investor. Buying an NFT makes you a guy with an NFT. That's the story. You're only an investor whenever you actually do the work, do the time, do the project, do the research, and everything to make sure that you're using your money in a way that works for you and it builds your reputation and stuff like that. But a lot of times you're not an investor. For instance, one way, when I invest in NFTs, and I'm currently not an NFT investor, I don't say, I am an NFT influencer and I am running an NFT brand, but I am not an NFT investor. You're only investor if you can monetize your NFT really, or if you know, like you're going in there and like I'm gonna try to make a this kind of percentage off this one. Like I'm gonna go into this Bored Ape, pay 100 ETH, and then my out liquidity is selling it for 20. I'm gonna cut it if the value goes lower than 80. Like you have to actually know your stuff to be an investor. Owning an NFT doesn't make you an investor. Owning an NFT makes you a guy with an NFT. Just a heads up. So yeah, that's definitely a lie. And number 4, the 14th lie is delisting your NFT raises the floor price. Yeah, delisting your NFT doesn't raise the floor price. If you want to sell, sell. Being in a market where you're holding onto NFT you don't want, hoping for bigger gains, makes you disingenuous, and then you're holding up your funds. And honestly, if you don't liquidate whenever you want to liquidate, you are most likely going to be held into a spot where you're going to be unable to liquidate because it's going to be so invaluable, or their fees are going to take over any kind of profit you would take from the NFT or any kind of cut you would take from the NFT. I know people who can't even liquidate their NFT they sold for $10,000 just because they held for too long. They could have sold at 1K, but they didn't. They're like, I don't want to be in this anymore, but I'm hoping it go back up. Boom. Instead of losing $9,000, you've now lost $10,000. Good job. But yeah, delisting your NFT does not raise the floor price. It just keeps you in an unhappy position. So, let's go to number 15. 15th lie. NFTs are decentralized, meaning companies control the metadata and cannot change them at will. Fun fact, most of the things that you guys are buying a lot of times, you're not even buying the JPEG. This is what society's making fun of right now, rightfully so. A lot of times you're just buying the link to the JPEG. Only when you use things like IPFS servers, and there's even some speculation debate on that, are you truly owning the NFT itself on the actual blockchain. It's kind of like what people think they're doing right now in Web3 is what we were doing when the bank was based on gold, right? The way it used to be is that, let's say you had a $1 bill. That was equivalent to $1 of gold. So if you took that to the bank, you could give them and say, I want my gold, and they'll give you $1 worth of gold. Same with for a $100 bill. So that's what people think they're doing right now, is walking around and flexing their actual NFT on display, on Twitter, on YouTube, on wherever. But what they're actually doing is what happened to the banks in like 2000 or something like that. where you're just holding on to a dollar bill. You're holding on to a piece of paper. It's no longer backed by anything. You're just holding on to the link. That's what's kind of happening right now. So we need to make it to a place where you know whether or not you're even holding onto an NFT or a link to the picture on the blockchain. Very, very important thing to know. So yeah, NFTs are not fully decentralized, where companies actually control the metadata and can control it. A lot of times it's stuff like pre-written contracts. A lot of people just buy the contracts and have someone else do it entirely, and it's a one-time gig. And if the person dies from like that, there's no way they can actually change the metadata. So fun fact, not real. Only some people, like my company personally, I could change the metadata, I could change the smart contract. I have developers I'm working with on a part-time basis until I can hire them full-time on my team. But yeah, most NFTs are not decentralized. Fun fact. 16th lie. By creating a TV show or game, the floor price will go up. Most people will not care. So I'm working on this right now myself. So the only time a TV show or game will increase the floor price is if you're bringing in new people to your community. So a lot of times you're not doing that. So for instance, right now, I'm making a game for my Puffy Pilots community. I already have the game written. I'm going to launch a game for my Puffy Pilots community when we hit 100 NFTs minted out of 1,000. That is not to bring in new users. That is to reward my Puffy Pilots community, meaning that game's not going to change the floor price because we have a game. And we're not bringing anyone new. Now, if it does, the game's okay, so the game might go viral. If that does, then I'll bring in new users to the community. But the only reason a TV show or game will increase the floor price is if you're bringing in new people to the community and they want to invest or they want to own a part of this. It will not, most likely. If you're rewarding your fan base, like a lot of times they are, like for instance, the Bored Ape Yacht Club dropped hoodies, which I don't recall, but I can't imagine actually increased the floor price, the hoodies, because you are not getting more people into the Bored Ape Yacht Club with those hoodies. You're rewarding the current holders, which is they're not increasing their own value with the holder. One of the main reasons changing the floor price is getting outside people to want your project at a higher valuation, to the point where your follower or your community can actually be like beggars. They can actually choose the price they want to sell at rather than having to sell like below floor or at floor. So again, having a TV show or game will not change the floor price. The only way it will is if it draws in a new community, which means it has to be marketed to a regular audience, which means it has to be produced for a regular audience, which means it has to have a good conversion skill in there to get some people to convert to what is known as a notoriously confusing community. Just a heads up. The 17th lie is Twitter raids draw more buyers to your project. Twitter raids do not draw more buyers to your project at all. They are just same as engagement farmers, almost to the point where a lot of people will fly in there, they'll drop likes, but they have an agenda. They just jump interactions in, they drop on likes. The goal with those things are typically that it will get boosted in the algorithm to people who actually care about the content. And in the long run, or in any kind of considerable viewpoint, it's not doing that. Just a heads up. Fun fact, it's not doing that. It doesn't do that. Fun fact, spoiler alert. So let's go into the last three lies. Number 18, staking prints you free money. Yeah, staking really doesn't, I don't have too much to say about this, but staking does not really print you free money. You're doing it at the cost of, it's kind of like gambling in that sense as well. Like you're still risking your assets. You're risking the fact that it's going to have a 10x bull run from, let's say 15 whales get in the space, it has a 10x bull run, and it's only for one day. It pumps, dumps, and it's out. And now it's actually under floor because a lot of people liquidated, not floor, sorry, but below whatever you bought at. Now you're losing money by having your stuff staked. So even though you're making 10% over the year of whatever you staked, if your values go down by 10%, it's not really free. You're not making free money. A lot of times it's at the cost of it's opportunity cost. So it's not free. Whatever you make, a lot of times you're using the currency of opportunity cost, the opportunity that the crypto or the NFT pumps, that you are going to be unable to cash out at that price margin that you would have been able to cash out on, like with the beans and the Azukis and stuff like that. If let's say you could have those staked, I'm not sure if you can, those were staked whenever the pumps happened, and you had a contract for like 1 year or 2 year, you were screwed. You're now holding on to something that you could have had sold for 3-4x your money, and if you only made 10% off whatever it's worth, then you definitely lost on your possibility. 19. This is the funniest lie. I'm so glad NFT God talked about this. The 19th lie is 1 ETH is equal to 1 ETH. What I'm assuming he's talking about, and I actually love this point more than any other point he made on here. 1 ETH is not equal to 1 ETH because ETH changes so often. ETH right now, right? I can give you a little story right here. Let's look at the price of ETH. it was at 1750. Let's do the 5 days, right? It used to be at 1730, 1750, stuff like that, right? It's now at 1475. So let's say I bought something for 1 ETH last week. That's more expensive than if I bought something for 1.1 ETH right now, because it's still a fluctuating value. So 1 ETH is not actually equal to 1 ETH in general, which is why we still do not have an interchangeable system. And whenever we buy and sell NFTs with Ethereum, with Solana, with any kind of crypto, we have the USD or British currency or some kind of currency adjacent to it that has a standard, a fixed value, right? So that is the importance of that comment. 1 ETH is not equal to 1 ETH. You still need to keep track of your liquidity value. I put 80 bucks in my ledger yesterday. It's now worth 73? Yeah, 73.20. Just a heads up, 1 ETH is not equal to 1 ETH. It's a day-to-day thing until it gets stabilized, whenever it gets stabilized. And the last line that he mentions is it's only one delay. There won't be another. Just making sure everything works perfectly. This is actually bullish news. I'm guilty of this. He called me on this one. It's not one delay. It's very scarcely one delay. If a project is truly keep in mind, I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan, and Kingdom Hearts 3 got delayed for years, so I know what I'm talking about with this. When a company delays something, that's a red flag for a lot of reasons. Number one, the basic thing that we need from companies, we need clarity. Community needs clarity. We need communication. If they say the game's coming out in January and the game is being announced as delayed in December, that's not a good sign. Now, it's true that justification happens where it's like, oh, they're just making sure things work. It's actually bullish. That's true. But think about Cyberpunk 2077. Just think about that. They just want to make sure everything's good. It's really, but why is it not good? Why is it having so many issues? Why is it being delayed so often? Why is it even being delayed? What's the project team communication? Take each delay as a negative 25% of your value. Now think, how okay am I with any delays? Just saying. All right. So these are the 20 biggest NFT lies in Web3. What I reply to this is actually something that I feel the need to say as well, where this is what I replied. I said, this is one of the best Web3 threads. This info is what puts the smart investors apart from meme culture, and I stand by that. Okay? Knowing the 20 tips that NFT God wrote and I just described to you is key to being in Web3 successfully. If you believe what everyone else says, then you're going to be used like exit liquidity like everyone else. Meaning, when a project's about to go down, when an influencer wants to go out, whenever someone that has their hand in a project wants to cut and run from a project, they're going to use you as exit liquidity, because you're not going to trust yourself. You're going to trust you're going to let other people talk you into holding your bags. You're going to let other people talk into, dude, buy into this project. It's so cheap right now. Dude, the delay is just for the better. They're going to talk to you about how ETH is at an all-time low, so it's actually going to go up in price in two different aspects. All these different things that's either going to be used to convince, confuse, or falsely communicate something to you for their benefit. Okay? Knowing those 20 tips can put you in the top 1% of traders in Web3. Even if you're a casual holder, knowing these things, it's something that I think that you definitely need to know if you're going to be in the Web3 space. So, thank you for everything, guys. If you're interested in joining my project down below, feel free to do so. The link is in the description. The link to this thread and NFT God's Twitter is also going to be in the description of this video. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. This YouTube channel, I post very often. I have a live stream every single Tuesday. It's called Shameless Shilling. NFT God, if you see this, make sure that you hit me up if you want to be part of that. Peace out, have a good day, and God bless, guys. I hope you guys sleep well and have a fantastic next day, whatever that day is going to be.